Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Red Eyes Black Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck is one of my favorite decks of all time, because Red Eyes Black Dragon is my favorite nostalgic creature of all of the monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Red Eyes is hands down my favorite nostalgic monster, and goes along right hand in hand with my favorite XYZ monster, which is Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, which this deck is entirely based around summoning 3 of them, which is insanely good. And this card is so good because it has the ability to burn your opponent for 500 every single time they activate a card, which is insanely good. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell on the to become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out that Patreon because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting your assigned card sent to you in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this one. So, for this Red Eyes Black Dragon deck profile, you know it, you've got to play 3 copies of Red Eyes Black Dragon. So Red Eyes Black Dragon is a awesome card, 2400 attack, 2000 defense. Yes, it is a vanilla monster, but it can be brought back with the effect of Flare Metal Dragon. Now the way I play this deck is a little bit interesting, because basically the way that I play this deck is to revive my Red Eyes as quickly as possible, to use them as XYZ material for the effect of Flare Metal Dragon. Then we play a single copy of Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon is a Gemini monster, and its Gemini effect is, as if this card is normal summoned, which is the way Gemini monsters work, if you guys are not familiar, is you have to normal summon them an additional time. You don't have to tribute again, but you have to normal summon them again to be able to get their secondary effects. Otherwise, they're just treated as vanilla monsters. But the effect of this card is, if battle damage is performed involving this card at the end of the battle phase, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's original attack. So basically it inflicts 2400 points of damage to your opponent automatically if it battles, if it's been normal summoned again, which is not too hard in this deck because you don't have very many normal summons in the deck anyways. Then we play 3 copies of Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon. Blue Eyes got one, so why couldn't we? So this card's effect is really interesting, and it really helps unbrick the deck, because that was a problem that this deck had a little bit before this card was released, was bricking, because you draw too many Red Eyes in your hand. Well, this card solves that problem by tributing a Red Eyes monster from your hand or field. You can special summon this card. And if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by a card effect, you can target a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it. And if it was a Red Eyes Black Dragon that was special summoned by this effect, you double its attack, going to 4800. That is really cool. I really love that effect, and it's also, if it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, is just insane. So if they destroy it, it's bringing a Red Eyes back. Then, since it is a DarkArmedDuelist deck profile, I've never actually put this in a Red Eyes deck before, and I just haven't. And I just think it's a really neat tech in here. But it's 3 copies of Dark Armed Dragon. You know it's a DarkArmedDuelist deck profile, so you gotta have those Dark Armed Dragons. But it's just something that I really think is a good card in here, because the way that I built this particular deck is, as you'll see in a little bit, is that this deck focuses, like I said before, about reviving cards, like using Monster Reborn, using copies of Silver's Cry, or even Return of the Dragon Lords, which really helps out the deck to be able to bring back your Red Eyes and control the amount of graveyard effects or graveyard monsters that you have, like your Red Eyes and stuff like that. And if you don't use this card to special summon, you can always use it for a Allure of Darkness target, which is another option for Dark Armed Dragon. But it is a level 7 dragon monster that you can use to overlay to go into your Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Now there was actually an interesting card that came out of Eternity Code that caught my eye, which is 3 copies of Noctovision Dragon. Noctovision Dragon is a really interesting card for this deck because it's a level 7 dragon monster. This card helps us with our rank 7 plays a lot, because it has the ability that when an opponent's card effect is activated that targets face down cards you control, you can quick effect banish this card from your grave to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And then also, they can't target face down cards for the rest of the turn. And then it also has the ability that's the really neat effect is if a dragon monster is special summoned to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is used as link material, you get to draw a card. That's really good, because you just get another level 7 monster on your side of the field to use for your plays to get into Flare Metal, your 3 Flare Metals that you're trying to go for. Then we play a single copy of Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact. I changed this out from my copy of Light Pulsar Dragon because I wanted to go for more of a dark attribute deck. And this card is good to go for our Meteor Black Comet Dragon. You can change this out and put back in your copy of the Light Pulsar Dragon. But as you'll see in a little bit, there's also a card that I took out, which you'll see in just a second. I'll explain in just a minute. Then we play 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal Dragon is a neat card in here because it lets you search a Red Eyes card from your deck when it's sent to the graveyard, which is nice, and also lets you equip it to a dragon monster, to a Red Eyes monster, and make that monster gain 600 attack. And for the last 2 monsters, I'm playing 2 copies of the Blackstone of Ancients. Or the, not the Blackstone of Ancients, the Blackstone of Legend. The Blackstone of Legend lets you tribute it and then special summon a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck, except another copy of itself. And if you do, you can shuffle this card back into, or you can shuffle a Red Eyes from your graveyard back into your deck, and then add this card back to your hand, but you can only use either effect per turn. Now, something you will notice, I'm not playing Red Eyes Flare Metal, or Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Why? Every time I played with it, it seemed like I just ended up banishing it with my copy of Allure. So I took it out of the deck to playtest, and I never really missed it for this particular build. Because what this particular build is trying to do is get as many level 7 monsters out on the field as possible, and that card is just doesn't go with the strategy of what I'm trying to do. Now you can definitely add it back in, and I will tell you guys what you can take out in the spell cards to add it back in if you feel like you absolutely need it. But this deck is just focused around summoning all 3 copies of the Flare Metal Dragon. I thought it would be really neat to summon all 3 of these, and this deck is what it does. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we are going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is a really neat card in here. It's just a good extender because you're able to go into more plays and able to basically bring back your Red Eyes monsters to go into your XYZ plays. 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion. We do use this card for Red Eyes, the Red Eyes Meteor Black Comet Dragon, or Meteor Black Comet Dragon, which doesn't have Red Eyes in the name, but this card makes it have Red Eyes in the name because when you Fusion summon, you can immediately make it a Red Eyes monster. Now, I will mention when Dragoons comes out, you can still play the deck exactly like you do, but just change out your single copy of what's it called, Meteor Black Dragon in the main deck, or your Meteor Black Comet Dragon Impact, this thing, the fusion material for Dark Magician, and it makes it just as good. We play a single copy of Dragon's Ravine. The Dragon's Ravine essentially is here for extra plays to go into Romulus in the extra deck, because the Romulus really helps out to go into in this deck, because you basically just get free cards off the Romulus, because you're linking, you're using it as a link material, and then you can send your Red Eyes to the graveyard to stack the graveyard to go into other plays. So this card really helps out. We play 2 copies of Cards of the Red Stone. This is just helpful for draw power, because this extra draw power can really help out the deck, because basically what you're doing with this is you're just discarding a Red Eyes that's kind of breaking your hand to the graveyard to get more plays off of it and get more value out of it, which just comes in super handy to be able to use. Then we play 2 copies of Silver's Cry. Silver's Cry is another revival card that brings back a normal dragon monster from your graveyard, and it's a quick play spell, so you can just set it and then activate it on your opponent's turn if you need to. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. The 3 Allure of Darkness really help out because you're able to draw 2 cards and then banish 1 from your hand, which you can banish an extra copy of Dark Armed Dragon from your hand, banish a Noctovision Dragon, banish anything that you don't need in your hand just to get those 2 extra cards. 3 copies of Red Eyes Insight. Red Eyes Insight lets us send a Red Eyes from our deck to the graveyard to add a Red Eyes spell or trap directly from our hand, except another Red Eyes Insight. 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Return of the Dragon Lords is essentially says, hey, bring back Red Eyes Black Dragons for free, or bring back Noctovision for free, essentially. And you can even bring back your copies of Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon if you correctly summon them, which is really nice to be able to do. Then we play for the last 3 spells, 3 copies of Call by the Grave, so you don't have to deal with your opponent's hand traps as normal. This card is really good in here because you don't want to have to deal with your opponent's hand traps, and even if you hit it, they're still going to take 500 because Red Eyes Flare Metal chains to it and immediately deals them the 500, which is really nice. So that's it for the That's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps, because we do actually play 2 traps. So for the 2 traps we're playing 2 copies of, or 1 copy of Red Eye Spirit and 1 copy of Return of the Red Eyes. The reason I play these at 1 each is because they're searchable. Return of Red Eyes is really nice because it constantly is bringing back Red Eyes, whereas the Red Eye Spirit brings back a specific Red Eyes monster, like a copy of Flare Metal from the graveyard or something like that. As long as it has Red Eyes in the name, this card can bring it back, which is really nice. This card, if you control a Red Eyes monster except Red Eyes Be Chick, you can target a normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Red Eyes monster from the graveyard. And you can only use the effect of Red Eyes, Return of Red Eyes, once per turn. Now that's really interesting because the way that it's worded says, hey, you can use this every single turn. Really good effect. So that's it for the main deck, guys. I will show you an interesting tech card that I thought about playing in here. I didn't find the room for it. I thought about dropping the 3 Dark Arms for it, but it's just something that I wanted to play in here, but I couldn't find the room. And that was 3 copies of Chain Energy. If you guys can find the room for it that you guys want to play it at, this card is a really interesting side deck card that burns your opponent for 500 every single time they activate a card or from their hand. If they normal summon or set or activate a card in their hand, then they lose 500 life points. Now, this is something that basically would make it so you have extra flare metals. It'd be like having 6 flare metals on the field if you did play that card. So that's just an interesting tech card to mention to you guys if you want to play that card in here. I could not find the room for it. Now, I will mention to you guys one other thing before we get into the extra deck. I did not use any cards from Legendary Duelist 1 because I wanted to make this deck as budget as possible for you guys as well. So, for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 Flare Metals, and yes, I have all 3 in all 3 different editions from the Clash of Rebellion, and they're all first ed because I absolutely love Red Eyes. So basically what this card does is every time your opponent activates a card or effect, they lose 500 life points. And if you detach a material from this card, you can special summon a Red Eyes from the graveyard, which is really good. And then it also has the ability that as long as it has materials, it can't be destroyed by card effects. That card is insane. That card is insanely good, and if you put 3 of these on the field, they're taking 1,500 every single time they activate an effect. I play a single copy of Big Eye just to be able to take my opponent's monsters, just in case I can make that 4th rank 7 play, which does come up. 1 copy of Dark Armed the Dragon of Annihilation. It is a Dark Armed slash Red Eyes deck, so this card's really good in here because Dark Armed the Dragon of Annihilation is insanely good at just popping extra cards, and you can use a Dark Dragon on your side of the field as material if you have 5 or more Dark Monsters in your graveyard. If you have exactly 5 Dark Monsters in the graveyard, so you can make it off of just 1 Red Eyes if you have 5 Darks in the graveyard. 1 copy of Meteor Black Comet Dragon is the only target that I have in the main deck for going into, or in the extra deck for going into the Red Eyes Fusion, but this card's really good to go into because you can immediately burn your opponent for 1,200 off of sending a Red Eyes to the graveyard, which is what you really want. And if this card is removed from the field for any reason, then you get to special summon a normal monster from your graveyard, which is always going to be Red Eyes, and it's a 3,500 beat stick. That's a big plus. Then we play a single copy of Boral Sword just to be able to help OTK. Skull Dread because it helps you go deeper into the deck to dig for other revival cards that you might need. And it special summons a monster from hand. We play a single copy of Phoenix just to be able to pop spells and traps. Dragoonity Knight Romulus just to be able to search that copy of the Dragon's Ravine. It also has the ability that if a dragon type monster is special summoned from the extra deck to a zone this card points to, then you can special summon a dragon monster or wing beast monster from your hand in defense position, which is super nice. Vertate Anaconda is really good because you can use it for Red Eyes Fusion to be able to send to the graveyard to go into your Meteor Black Comet Dragon, which again, if you want to change it out for Red Eyes Dragoons, you can change out the Meteor Dragon in the main deck and change out this for the Dragoons and the Dark Magician, and you can go right into that card. 1 copy of the Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres because you can use this and bounce it and then special summon a Red Eyes and then bounce card your opponent's out of the field, which is really cool. I do play the Guard Dragons in here because you can normal summon your copy of Black Metal Dragon and then use these to special summon Red Eyes from the hand or deck, which is nice. I really like that as well, and they're really good to special summon into the zone of your copy of Romulus to be able to use as link materials as well, which is super nice. You don't really summon Flare Metal out of the deck with these cards, which is kind of weird, but it's just another way that you can play the deck. And then we play a single copy of Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is really good because I usually use this card with my copy of Black Metal Dragon. It's just in case you brick. You can normal summon the flare, or you can summon the Black Metal, link it away. For Linkuriboh, you've got a monster on field, and you get a search, which could be Red Eyes Insight, and then you could search a copy of your Red Eyes Fusion, which would be a follow-up play the very next turn that you could activate to go into your Meteor Black Comet Dragon. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck and a completely different take out of the Red Eyes deck, which I thought was really neat for you guys, because basically this is the XYZ build, and you have a fusion build, and this build just doesn't use a single card from the Legendary Duelist. It doesn't use a single one from Legendary Duelist 1. It doesn't use Gear Frame. It doesn't use Slash Dragon, not Baby Dragon, none of them. Because you guys have always said in the deck profiles, man, those cards are really expensive. Fang and Chain is really expensive. I dropped them all so I could make a deck profile that you guys could actually enjoy and build for pretty cheap for a Red Eyes deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell on there so you can come part of our notification squad. Definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And check out the Patreon. See you later, guys.